when I punish you real bad, you gonna remember me.
Yeah.
And most dudes that Tank knocked out, what happened? I want a rematch.
Right.
I could have won that fight. And when you get punished, you don't say nothing.
When you see this fight, do you see like Tank just having his way with Jake? Like giving like, no?
No, I'm gonna tell you, this is what I tell Tank. And Tank said it in the interview. I said, Tank, y'all going there doing y'all thing, woo woo woo. I said, he ain't giving you nothing.
Tank Davis is a phenomenal puncher and an accurate one at that. But dude, this is a monster. Even Tank, when I asked him how far his power carried, he told me light heavyweight. That's 175.
At a fiery press conference, tempers exploded between Gervonta Tank Davis, his coach Calvin Ford, and Jake Paul, frustrated by Jake's confidence. Ford snapped and called him a clown, daring him to fight using smaller 10-oz gloves instead of the standard 12-oz ones. He questioned Jake's courage, asking why he needed extra padding if he was truly as powerful as he claimed. The back and forth charged the atmosphere instantly, and the crowd went wild, turning the event into pure chaos and excitement.
This is a very serious fight, and I'm a very serious person. My question to you is, where did 12-ounce gloves come from? Why y'all couldn't take 10 and he had 8? Already he giving up 4 ounces of the gloves. I gotta say this because y'all betting all this money. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, wait. You guys were the ones that wanted 12-ounce gloves, not me. I'll do 8. Fuck, I'll do 4. I'll do 2 ounces. I'll do bare knuckle. Like,
I wasn't aware of that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that he can handle himself.
so what do you want? 10 ounce? 8 ounce? What do we want?
If he the one said that, I'm gonna go with that. I wasn't aware of that.
No, the 12 ounce came from your guys' side.
No, it's not.
On God. Perfect. Then what do you want? 10?
No, I didn't say that.
The heated moment. Calvin Ford, Tank's longtime trainer, spoke confidently about the upcoming showdown. He admitted that Jake's size could give him a slight edge, but he insists it won't matter against a fighter like Gervonta. Ford has seen Tank grow into a killer in the ring, focused, precise, and mentally unstoppable. He believes this will be Jake's first taste of what real boxing feels like. Ford reminded everyone that Jake has only fought older or non-elite opponents, but Davis is a whole different danger. To Ford, size doesn't win fights, heart, timing, and skill do. And in his eyes, Tank Davis was built for nights like this.
Ups in life. That's what I call it, hiccups, but they lessons to learn from. But we back on track and we're keeping it moving.
When you heard about the fight, were you like, wait, what? Like, we're doing what?
Actually, when I heard about the fight, they called me and said, what you thought about the fight? I said, the fight doable. You know what I'm saying? Because I watched Tanky for years and I watched other young men and gyms, you know, deal with big guys. You know what I'm saying? Yes, he's big. To me, it's like Jake having his first open fights. If anybody know about the amateurs going open, then you go pro. So, you know, he's a great fighter guy that does have skills. You know what I'm saying? My only concern is, you know, the gloves. You understand what I'm saying? Because we don't fight in 12-ounce gloves. We don't use 12-ounce gloves. That's training gloves. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's 2 pounds away from Jake. He fights in 10s. Tank fighting 8s. So he losing 4 ounces. So my thing is, I said, they said, put Tank in 8s, put him in 10s. That makes the fight more interesting. You know what I'm saying? And we'll go from there because I understand. And I brought that question up to one of his handlers.
Boxing analyst Luke Thomas, however, noticed something unusual about Tank's mindset. While praising his explosive power and sharp instincts, he pointed out that Gervonta seemed a bit distant in interviews, almost like he wasn't taking Jake seriously. Thomas suggested that Tank might be treating this more like business than competition. He warned that underestimating Jake's hunger could backfire because while Jake lacks elite skill, he has raw drive and pride pushing him to prove himself. His comments raised a big question fans have been debating. Is Gervonta truly focused? Or is this fight just an easy payday?
So in that sense, it's a little bit different. It's not different in the sense of a boxer in his prime or relative prime straying off the path, but this one is not, it's not like someone else, in a similar weight. It's like completely the opposite. And so that makes it, I think, look and feel weird. And then on top of it, obviously, Gervonta's got other business to handle. He looked to me, Gervonta, absolutely, completely disinterested. even at the beginning of this year, and dude, even at the pre-fight Lamont Roach stuff, Tank was talking about how much time he has left in boxing, which he was sort of isn't much. You know, I mean, the Lamont Roach fight, I mean, it blew up in his face, but Lamont Roach was cherry picked. You know, I think Tank thought, oh, I'll just fight another guy from, you know, the mid-Atlantic area who's, you know, remember Roach came up from 30 to 35 to fight him, and Tank thought he was just going to cruise, and then it blew up in his face, and, you know, you're left with that. So, like, you're making a point about, like, oh, he's got this obligation. That's true. But he was already fucking around. He was already taking opponents that, again, I think Roach showed everyone that was a mistake, but put yourself in Tank's mind. Tank was taking a fight against someone he was clearly, in his mind anyway, better than, and was just going to cruise. So he was already in that state. Then you marry that with statements like, you know, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'm worried about going to therapy because it'll take away my competitive edge. And, you know, kind of teetering on the edge a little bit about like whether or not this is a thing he wants to do. Then he, you know, there's a draw in that fight. And then he takes this Jake Paul fight, which I'm sure is going to be for dumb money. I get it.
Most boxing experts agree Jake Paul is about to face a brutal reality check. They point to the massive gap in skill, speed, and fight IQ between him and Gervonta Davis. Tank has spent years battling world-class opponents who understand timing and defense like second nature. Jake, on the other hand, is still learning those lessons. Analysts call Tank's accuracy surgical, saying one clean punch could end the fight instantly. Jake may have power, but against Tank's precision and relentless pressure, experts believe he won't last long.
Tank Davis look crazy, bro. Chilaquiles. Gervonta Tank Davis hitting a heavy bag in preparation for his Jake Paul fight November 14th down there in Florida. Man looks absolutely amazing. Man looks like a monster. Man looks like precision. Jake Paul cannot take those body shots. You mean to tell me somebody who done fought UFC fighters and a man with Parkinson's disease can take a body punch from Gervonta Tank Davis, and y'all basing y'all logic just because Jake Paul is big? No, Tank's gonna go ahead and put this man to sleep. I'm telling y'all that right now. If Tank don't put this man to sleep, he done let the black community down, he done let boxing down, and he ain't never been that nice. You Tank fans, y'all trying to give him a pass. If y'all said Tank is as skilled as y'all say he is, if he does not put Jake Paul to sleep and stop Jake Paul, his boxing career is absolutely voided. He already don't care about legacy, and just imagine he don't knock out Jake Paul, and now y'all gonna say it's not a real fight, it's an exhibition. No, we not giving no passes, bro. This Gervonta Tank Davis, he needs to put Jake Paul to sleep. I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, Jake Paul too big. No, Jake Paul chin ain't never been tested by somebody that hit as hard as Gervonta Tank Davis. Tank should put this man to sleep with ease. I'll say that respectfully. If you don't put him to sleep,
a 2-pack of ass. That shit stinks.
That's a 2-pack of ass at the highest level. And it's a musty energy at the highest level. Get it together. Get it together. Tank looks amazing. That's the Chilaquiles. Chilaquiles.
5 analysts also highlight Coach Calvin Ford's deep confidence in Tank's ability to handle bigger opponents. Ford has trained Gervonta since his teenage years and guided him through countless fights, where skill overcame size. He reminds fans of Tank's dominant win over Ryan Garcia, proof that raw power alone doesn't decide who wins. Ford says boxing is about control, reading your opponent, and striking at the perfect time. With decades of experience behind him, he insists Tank will outsmart Jake Paul easily. For Calvin, this isn't a gamble, it's a demonstration that pure skill always beats size.
Go band for band on what you making. Again, there's nothing wrong with Tank going to get his money, but let's all be clear that that's all the fight is for Tank. He's telling you without telling you that he's fighting Jake just because he's getting $40 million. So when we talk about boxing being dead, Tank has to line up at the front of the line. I can't blame him, but don't throw around, oh, boxing's dead and people switch sides and all of that. You chose not to be great. That's it. You chose not to be great. Stuff like that, choices like that will kill boxing, for sure. On a competitive level, it won't kill it on a business level. On a business level, until people run out of interest in these kind of matchups, it'll do well. On a competitive level, choosing not to fight the best will kill the sport. So maybe it's better if people like Tank aren't in the sport. And I don't even say that because I want that to be the case. I think Tank is ridiculously talented, but you can't want a fighter to fight more than what they want to. You can't. Tank fans or Tank people that like Tank and think he's one of the best, you can't want it for him. And then Shakur came back with, that's how I know you soft. I can't even go back and forth with you soft ass. You rather pop to me on social media than get in that fire and get embarrassed. I get it. Peace and blessings upon you, cuz. He says, the people got you chest out so bad. You talking like you a killer, forgetting that you the one that runs, bitch. I'll be bring the fight to you. This dude, a made-up character. Quote, blessings upon you. Clown-ass dude, wanna be Kevin Gates? Oh my goodness. I mean, here's the thing though. You can't say that stuff about Shakur if you're not willing to fight him. This is the point I think that we're going to come to today, is that Tank can say all this stuff he wants, but if you're not willing to fight Shakur, then none of it means anything anymore. Even if you believe that Tank is going to knock him out, even if you believe that Shakur's a runner, or that he's not in the trenches, or he's not a boxer that's willing to bring the fight, or whatever, none of it matters. You're talking from the sideline because you won't fight it.
Calvin Ford's bond with Gervonta Davis goes far beyond that of coach and fighter. He's been in Tank's corner since the Baltimore gym days, often calling him a son rather than just a student. That connection makes Ford both proud and protective. As the fight approaches, he admits he's slightly uneasy not about Tank's ability, but about the noise surrounding Jake's fame. The social media chaos, the bright lights, the non-stop drama, all of it can distract even the best. Ford just wants Gervonta to stay grounded, focused, and true to his roots, the hungry fighter who once dreamed of greatness.
But at the end of the day, people are always going to have something to say about every single one of my fights. Yes, the second to last guy was 58 years old. This guy is extremely smaller than you. Way smaller. God knows how many weight categories it is. I'm not a boxing expert like I am with mixed martial arts, but it's a good few weight classes, okay? It's insane. Now, of course, he's liking it to Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather, which did insane numbers, 4 million pay-per-view buys, something like that. But he said Conor wasn't a boxer and Conor didn't have a weight advantage. So Gervonta is taking a bigger risk than Floyd by fighting me, in my opinion, and it's a credit to Gervonta because of the weight difference. And that's what makes this a good, even fight, is his skills and his experience for being a top 10 for pound, and then my weight and height being an advantage. Well, which one is it? Because before you were one of the best boxers on the planet, before you were one of these guys that people need to take seriously, and he's coming for the belt and he's going to go down as the best pound for pound boxer on the planet. But now he's making excuses for fighting Gervonta Davis because he's so inexperienced and he's not a very good boxer. And that's kind of true. He does wing his punches and they are kind of sloppy, and he leaves a tremendous amount of openings that somebody like Tank Davis is going to capitalize on and take advantage of. However, size matters. There is a reason why they have weight classes. And just as a man, standing there, looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm going to fight this guy. It was bad enough when he was taking on Mike Tyson. And all right, we saw the videos of Mike Tyson hitting pads and looking fresh and all the rest of it. And that thing was an entire farce, okay? And then we've got Jake Paul out there, by the way, saying that he's going to sue anybody that talks bad about his fights, that says that they're fixed fights.